You guys don't know about baseball, man. Don't even try. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. So I did go back to last year. There was a Title Tuesday that was played between Rogelio and Antonio Jr., also known as GM Joey 1 on chess.com, and Dmitry Andreikin. So, of course, all my people coming from the Philippines, I will say maraming salamat, aking makaibigan. Anybody who is coming up from Russia, who does speak Russian, I will say bolshoye spasiba. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by, but if you guys are ready to go, man, let's take a look and see what we got for this game. All right, so we got the move E4, C5, we got the Sicilian defense on the board, knight to F3, we got G6. Now, this is a hyper-accelerated dragon, so basically it's kind of like the dragon, but one important detail is you have not played D6, so you have reserved the option to play D5 in some of these positions, and you're just trying to speed everything up. There is a slight drawback to this move so early on, and we see it coming up here. We do see D4, pawn takes D4, and then queen takes D4, which is definitely one of the best ways to attack this. Already, you have a queen attacking this undefended rook in the corner. So there really isn't a whole lot of great options to kind of defend. Of course, you can't throw the bishop in a way because the bishop's going to be gone for no reason. You can play F6, but it definitely damages your structure quite a bit. Bishop to C4 is going to take advantage of that. And so you really are kind of only left with the only legitimate move, and that is going to be knight to F6. You don't generally want to play knight to F6, you know, with the ability of E5 just coming. It's kind of like the Aliekins. But we do see the move of bishop to B5. We got A6. You really have to get that bishop out of there, man, because it is currently pinning this pawn down. And like I said, you do have some, you know, E5 possibilities here. But we see E5 anyway. In this position, it is actually best to retreat the bishop and preserve it, but we do see us going into this variation here. We got pawn taking b5, pawn taking f6, and then we do see knight to c6, and this is a crucial tempo against the queen. We got the queen settling back on d3, hitting this pawn right here. Like, you know what, the queen's like, bro, I got the munchies, and this pawn is looking pretty scrumptious. So we do see b4 just knocking that pawn out the way. And then we do see knight b to d2, and this is the novelty of the game. You definitely had some possibilities in here, you know, early on with, you know, capturing here, you know, threatening this queen and stuff like that. But it does get kind of dicey after we see knight taking d4. We possibly have some, you know, some fork situations. So we kind of, you know, avoid all of that by going down these lines. So we do see knight b to d2, like I said, the novelty of the game. We got the move d5. Now, because there is no more white pawns in the center of the board, we do have the ability to go d5 here. Like I said, in the Sicilian defense, this is definitely one of the biggest things that you try to go. A lot of the times you'll see d6 first, and then after you kind of do some preparation, you can get d5 rolling. But if you can get it in one fell swoop, it's generally a little bit better. We got castles by white, pawn takes f6 by black, rook to e1 with check. Now, the interesting thing about the position is black does have an extra pawn here, but they are getting attacked. So, you know, if they can, you know, if black can get out of the attacks that white is putting on them, then, you know, black is going to be doing all right. We do see bishop to e7, one of the best blocking moves you have in the game of chess, no matter what opening you're playing. We got knight going to b3. We got castles by black. We got bishop up to e3. Now, as it currently stands, you do have a completely isolated pawn on the black side. So trying to get your material back, this is definitely something that you're going to focus on. You absolutely do not want this pawn to move ever at all. I mean, forgive my arrows, but you do see that white is definitely controlling the crap out of d4. We're making sure that this pawn cannot ever dream of pushing itself forward. We do see bishop to f5, always getting tempo tempi on this queen. That's why sometimes it's a little bit, you know, tough to kind of bring your queen out really early because it can get attacked all over the place. So we do see queen going down to d2. We got knight over to e5. Knight takes e5, pawn takes e5, and then we have a really nice move, and this is bishop to h6, hitting this rook and also hitting this pawn right here. So what are you to do if you are black here? So if you want to pause the video, there's actually two moves that I will accept because they're pretty much about equal, and it centers around one major idea. So if you want to try to pause the video and see what black should play here, go ahead and do so. Okay, so the answer to this, the idea is that you have to part with this rook. So you have to lose the exchange. I think that a lot of people are going to say, hey, man, I want to go rook to e8, bro, because, like, why am I just going to give up my exchange for a pawn? Like, the pawn, is it that important? It actually very is, and I'll show you a variation as to why. But what I'm looking for in this position, Andreikin goes queen to d6 here, but f6 also works as well, just making sure that you, take care of this pawn here on e5. The problem is if you allow e5 to drop or the e-pawn period to drop, it makes d4 a very, very serious target. And so you really, really want to kind of give the exchange up for that. So if we go back after bishop went to h6, if we saw pretty much the only other move, rook to e8, trying to like save the rook, you would be looking at rook takes e5. Now, it's not like it's completely lost for black, so it's definitely something you could have done. It just definitely gives white a little bit more of an ump. We would probably see bishop to e6. You got knight coming to d4, queen to d6, and then bishop to f4. And you see that white has a very vicious attack going on right now. So black is definitely on the back foot. And white has gotten their pawn back in this variation. So they are doing good. They're putting a lot of pressure on, one of your major pawns that you have here. So it can get pretty dicey. So that is what you really kind of don't want to go into. So like I said, we do see bishop taking f8, bishop taking f8. We got the rook a to d1, and then now you see that when you push d4, you have that e5 pawn, supporting it. So that is really kind of ideally what you want. We got the move f4 trying to destabilize your structure. We got queen going over to b6. Trying to be sneaky, trying to say, hey, bro, I'm going to go ahead and discover an attack. It's not like it'll be the end of the world, probably, but it's not favorable. So we do see queen going to f2, and this is blocking that. And then we do see bishop to h6, which might kind of seem like it makes some sense. You're like, hey, man, I'm attacking this pawn right here. But I'm going to be honest with you. The move doesn't make a lot of sense in the position, and I honestly believe that this was a misclick by Andreikin. I think that he meant to go bishop to g7. The problem with this move is we just got done talking about the e5 pawn, and this just completely just hangs the e5 pawn for absolutely free. So this is Antonio's chance right here to say, hey, bro, I mean, gift me a pawn. Let me go ahead and grab that bad boy. There really isn't a whole lot of great, I guess I'll say retorts for this particular situation, because now you have so much pressure on this d4 point. There really isn't a great way for you to kind of hold this pawn at all. So that is really not where you want to be. So that was a possibility that Rogelio had in the position, but he did not. After we see bishop going to h6, we did see king going to h1, just sidestepping, that discovered attack, which was possible before when you went queen to f2. And we do see bishop taking f4, but we have a really nice, cute move by Rogelio. We do see knight taking d4, and you really don't want to capture here because of obvious reasons. But we also kind of have like a little hidden threat in the position. So if you're in this situation, we see Andreikin go the move h5, and there is a very specific reason why he goes h5. But if you back up and you just say, hey, man, white's queen is pinned, it's undefended, you can't really move this knight anywhere. Let me just move the rook and try to like add some pressure to this knight. Well, you absolutely can do that. But I mean, you are in a really horrible situation after you see the knight taking f5 anyway, and you absolutely cannot take this queen because you will be looking at rook to d8 checkmate. No! Yes, don't do that, bro. So this would be a really immortal, beautiful queen sacrifice game, but we did not see that. Like I said, Andreikin recognized all of that, and he said, okay, let me go ahead and just make a safe move. So he has some space for his king to go to h7. We do see queen going down to f1, and you still can't take, that pawn, that knight with the pawn, because your bishop would be hanging. So we do see bishop going to g4. We got the rook up to d3. Rook takes a2. We do see knight going back to f3, and we still have that queen takes f4 situation on the board here, so we still can't take here. So it actually wasn't necessary at this moment to move the knight back. You could have done something else with it, but we do see knight going to f3. We got bishop back to f5, hitting that rook. The knight takes on e5, bishop takes e5. We got rook taking e5, bishop taking, pawn taking, and then we have the very, very cute move, queen to f6. And you really don't have a lot of good squares you can move your queen to. You kind of want to protect this pawn, but you have to protect this rook at the same time. You absolutely can't just... Like, black is not hanging their queen by any means because you do have this back rank checkmate. and you have to throw both of these pieces in the way if you do that. So don't do that. So we do see rook going to e8 with check, and this was the correct way to try to play out of that. We got king going down to g7. We got queen going over to e1. Like I said, even in this position, you still can't take the queen because you are in a bad spot there. We do see queen going to e1. We got queen taking b2 with, well, the mate threat. We have a mate threat on g2. So that is what I meant. I didn't mean we were gonna check. So after queen takes b2, we do see queen going to g3, and this is trying to kind of cover this checkmate, but also we do have a good situation where we are being able to retreat the rook back to e1 with the protection of the queen, but Andreikin has a way to try to deflect the queen off of this responsibility, and we see the move h4, and it is in this position that Rogelio Antonio Jr. resigns the game. So, like I said, I mean, you are trying to hold this diagonal if you are white, but you're also trying to hold this checkmate here. So you can't move this way. You can't move really anywhere other than these squares. But I mean, you can't go here because that's just checkmate on g2. You can't go here because then the queen's just gone. And if you want to be cute, you can just throw the queen or the rook down, and I mean, you're good to go. And you absolutely cannot take here because you do give up that g2 square. So that is really not where you want to be at all. So like I said, Rogelio Antonio Jr., he does resign the game right here. So that is unfortunate right there. And I think it would have been interesting to see the game if he had taken on e5, because like I said, going back to that position, I mean, your entire position just completely crumbles when you're in this position right here. I mean, you kind of still have a little bit of fight in you, but you are at some point most likely going to be losing this pawn, and that is kind of one of your strengths. And then you're going to be left with these 3 pawns and these 2 doubled pawns, which are not super ideal. So it is unfortunate that he was not able to find that move. So I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. Anybody coming from the Philippines, magandang umaga to you. It is 9:45 a.m. I believe. Probably be closer to 10:15 when you see this video if you watch it early. But magandang hapon to you if it is afternoon for you. Let's see, mabuting pagbati, you know, be great, mugging tequila. I appreciate you guys very much. Maraming salamat king makaibigan po sa nanonood ng king ma video. Messiah call me Kitty King Mooley. Very nice to see you guys again out there, definitely. Anybody who is coming from Russia, I will say Dobre Otra, Privyet, Balshoya Spasiba, and I'm going to see you guys next time.